Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, my friends on YouTube. I am doing another one of these. I'll be here for about another hour, and I am just waiting for people to show up, and you know that means having to click up the likes as well. Hello, Matthew. I'm glad you're here. Hello, Mitchell. Good to see you. Glad you're here. I'm just going to wait a second till we get a couple more people. Hello, Alan. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you guys may be on this fine planet of ours. As I said, I'm just going to wait till a few more people get in the room before I begin my popular spiel. It's interesting that it always seems to take 2 or 3 minutes to get people in there. Hey, there's HVM. You got my message. I hope that was explainable to you. I hope you understood that based on what I responded to your message. I think it was pretty straightforward. So I hope you understood it, HVM. I hope you understood it. Good, glad, excellent. And thank you for being back here. I appreciate that very much. All right, everybody, let's start this. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Josh, and I was a porn addict for 24 years. That is correct. I was a porn addict for 24 years. I also was an alcoholic for 22 years. I am now 11 years clean and sober and relapse-free the entire time. I, for the last 5 years, have been a full-time pornography addiction coach, a full-time betrayal trauma coach, and a disclosure specialist. If I can help you by answering any questions about these topics, betrayal, porn, addiction, trauma, I am more than happy to. All you have to do is put them into the comments here, and I'm happy to answer your questions. I'm happy to give an informed opinion if I can. I love to hear people's stories of success. I love to help people with stories of struggling. So anything you want to add here, please feel free. The number one question we always get here, and we'll get this multiple times in the hour or so that I'm going to be here, is how do I begin to quit? How do I begin to quit? And I think that this is pretty solid advice, no matter what you want to do in life, if you want to make a full-on major change in your life. And that is, before you start doing anything, before you decide that you want to make a giant change like this in your life, you have to figure out why. Why do you need to make that change? What is your motivation in making that change? Why must you quit pornography? What is it that pornography may take away from your life? What is it that pornography may destroy in your life and you won't be able to get it back? That's what I mean by why you must quit. Underline must, italicize must. And please, as I explain this, please tap up some likes. That's going to get more people in here. That's going to let more people know that this is worthwhile listening to. So please tap up some likes. I would be very appreciated. Anyway, as you're deciding what your must is, you don't have to worry about anybody else's. You don't have to worry about, little things like, well, should I quit? I ought to quit. Maybe, no. Why must you quit? What is your story? You can't just stop using porn for a month and hope everything gets better. But you have to have your reason. Maybe it's your partner. Maybe it's the fear of never getting a partner. Maybe it's your mental or physical health. Maybe you're worried about your job. Maybe you're finding yourself making decisions and doing things that are just out of your character or out of your values. You have to determine your must for quitting. Stumpy asks, did you accelerate your finances by quitting? Thank you for all those likes, No Name. At first, no. At first, I didn't accelerate my finances because, number one, I got fired from my job because of my drinking and my porn use and my general addictive behavior. So I lost money that way. And then I went to rehab, and rehab is not cheap. And while my insurance paid for most of it, at the very end, I had to kick in quite a bit. So I lost a lot of money because of addiction. Getting help, I would not have had to spend this money to get healthy if I had never got sick in the first place. DMAT18, thank you for following me. I appreciate that. So yeah, absolutely. I did not see an advantage in money. I saw a loss in money at first. The other thing is that I never spent money on pornography. Keep in mind, I quit 11 years ago. Cam sites were just starting, and I was not going to give some sketchy site in Europe, my credit card information. We never had OnlyFans when I was an addict. There were subscriptions to websites, but even 12 years ago when I was still using, I recognized there's plenty of free porn out there. So I never really spent money on pornography. I wanted the fastest internet. I wanted a good computer, all that for it. But I never spent money because of pornography. That was just not a big part of the culture, back 12 years and longer ago. If you wanted to spend money, you went to a strip club, or you went and bought a magazine or a video. A Cortez, thank you for following me very much. Hi, Jen. My husband said he's watching it because he's bored, not for self-pleasure. What do you think? I think that that's a complete bullshit excuse. He's bored. Okay, why don't you go shovel the driveway if there's snow, or go mow the lawn if there's grass? Why don't you go for a walk, go to the gym? Why don't you sit with your wife and watch a TV show? Why don't you take her out to eat? Why don't you go fly a kite? Why don't you visit your mom? Why don't you learn to paint watercolors? Why don't you go shopping for some new cabinets? There are 12,000 things that he could be doing instead of being bored. When people say that they are bored, it is an excuse. It's an excuse that allows them to use porn without taking responsibility. Instead of just saying, oh, I'm going to sit and watch because I like porn. He says, well, there's nothing to do. I can't find a single thing out there to do. I would like to find something to do. My plan isn't to look at porn, but I guess if I'm bored, there's nothing to do. So I'll look at porn. Hey, Oth. That's an excuse. That's removing the responsibility of looking at porn. He can find 12,000 other things to do. Thank you for the lightnings, HVM. Appreciate that very much. Every little gift helps. Everybody else is free to give me them too. Anyhow, it's an excuse. It's an excuse. It is totally for self-pleasure. He can find a million other things to do. It's like when people say they use because they're looking at social media, or they use because they need it to wake up in the morning or go to sleep at night. It's an excuse that allows them to tell themselves a story, which is what addicts do, to tell themselves a story that minimizes and justifies their use. He's not bored. He wants to use porn, and he doesn't want to say it out loud. For him to just sit there and type in a porn site on his phone or his computer, well, he doesn't want to do that because that's admitting he wants to look at porn. So he tells himself a BS story. That's what's going on, Jen. Mir, hi, I need some help. I can't go a week clean. I tried everything. Nothing worked. Well, you need to stop telling yourself that story. You don't worry about a week. Worry about today. Don't worry about 5 days. Worry about today. I want you to think about this right now. I want you to grab a pen and a piece of paper. I want you to schedule out the rest of your day. From now until you falling asleep tonight, schedule out your entire day. User 918, thank you for following me. Everything else to do. Exactly, Oliver. There's a million other things to do. I agree with the bored corn excuses. You agree that it's an excuse. You agree that, people do it because of the responsibility, or what were you talking about exactly there? Thank you for sharing the live, Mauricio. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Yes, take some cordyceps and go outside. Go outside. Go outside. Y'all put so much into the most random things. What are you talking about, him? What are you talking about? Jake, thank you for following me. What if we got it done this morning, Dad? Well, what about tomorrow, son? What about tomorrow? Papa G, thank you for sharing the live. Much appreciated. Certified Virginia. No idea what that means, but it is a lovely state. I agree with your explanation about being bored and using corn. Thank you, HVM. I appreciate that. User, thank you for following me. I got a virus on my phone. How I stop watching it. Is that how you stop watching it, or you're wondering how to stop watching it? Because I'd say stick around. We're going to have a lot of ideas. For those of you who just got here, have not seen me before, let me introduce myself. For those of you who've heard this before, get used to it. My name is Josh. I was a porn addict 24 years. I was an alcoholic 22 years. Almost 11 years ago, I got clean and sober, and I have been relapse-free the entire time. About 8 years ago, I moved into this industry. I started as an author and as a public speaker. About 5 years ago, I made the transition into being a full-time coach. I am now certified as a full-time coach in pornography addiction, betrayal trauma, and as a disclosure specialist. I've written 4 books. I've given hundreds of interviews, done a TED Talk, blah, blah, blah. If you need any one-on-one help with your pornography addiction, with the betrayal trauma you're feeling, with fixing the communication and trust in your relationship, and you'd like a private hour with me, you can go learn how to do that on my link tree on my front page. It's the first option at the top. Micah, thank you for following me. Genetically Inclined, thank you for following me. I got virus on my phone. How do I get rid of it? I don't know. I'm not an IT guy. Don't watch porn, I guess. Don't watch porn from unreputable places. Be careful. Be careful. Don't use the pornog. Don't, go to sketchy sites. That's how you're going to get viruses on your phone. And you look at pornography. Pornography is mostly sketchy. People who make pornography, most of them are sketchy. So, they don't care if you have your pornography addiction. They want to be able to get into your phone. They want to be able to get your money. That's even true of the social media sites. They don't care what you look at. They want your money. All right, let's keep going. Please keep tapping up the likes. I appreciate them very much. That lets people know this is worthwhile to listen to. That gets more people in the FYP. You never know who needs to hear this stuff. And your tap, that may make the difference. Micah, in case I didn't say so, thank you for following me. Good morning, Angel. Good to see you. Hope you're having a great day. How do I make it stop, says Phono. All right, how do you make it stop? Well, first of all, you need to figure out how are you doing it. So you create what's called the urge journal. For the next week, anytime you get an urge, whether you use or not, anytime you get an urge, I want you to have a little notebook on hand, just one of those little tiny flip notebooks you can get for 79 cents. Have one of those. Write down the time, write down the place, and write down what has happened in the last 10, 15 minutes, either around you or as far as your mindset goes. Every time you get an urge, and maybe that's 8 a day, maybe that's 18 a day. Every time you get an urge, write it down. And after a week, you're probably going to be like most people and have somewhere between 75 and 100 pieces of data there to look at. You will see patterns. That's the first thing you have to do, is establish your patterns of usage and understand them. When are you using? Where are you using? Why are you using? Once you establish those, you can begin to undo those patterns, undo those routines. If you need it every night before you go to bed to sleep, well, number one, you don't. That's a story you tell yourself. But number two, you clearly need to change the bedtime routine. No Name asks, cut cold turkey versus weaning off of corn. Whatever works for you. I urge most of my clients to try cold turkey to see if they can do it. And to get an idea also for myself as the coach of if they fail, how quickly is it? Can you not go cold turkey for 2 days? Or can you not go cold, do you fail at cold turkey after 2 weeks? There's a big difference in how you handle that. But ultimately, what I try to get people to do is to look at a date in the future, usually about 6 weeks in the future, and be like, you want to be free of not looking and not using by then. So what we have to do is either, if cold turkey doesn't work, we have to create a program for you to, reduce your porn over time. If you use 10 times a week, well, we're going to reduce that to 5 times next week. And we're going to do a couple things in that reduction within my coaching to figure out how to make it 3 times the following week and lower and lower and lower. So ultimately, we are trying to get you to stop use by that time. So if you go cold turkey now and you're not using in 6 weeks, great. If you have to wean off of it and you're not using in 6 weeks, great. The point is to get off of it within 6 weeks. Who funds the Corn Coach? Boy, I wish there were some people who did. The Corn Coach is funded through his sessions with people. The Corn Coach is funded through the little bit of money he makes on TikTok and YouTube and those kinds of places. The Corn Coach is funded by the royalties he gets on his books. The Corn Coach is funded by the nice people who click me on gifts. How were your withdrawals? Honestly, Stumpy, it's hard to isolate them when it comes to the pornography side of things because I quit porn and alcohol at the exact same time. And in quitting porn and alcohol at the exact same time, I don't know which withdrawals went with which addiction. I had them, but again, I was going through porn and alcohol withdrawal at the same time. So it's hard for me to say how specific it was. I know that some people have almost no withdrawal and some people go through an intense withdrawal. Some people's withdrawal takes 2-3 days. Some people's withdrawal takes 2-3 months. I wish that I could tell you what it would be for you, but once you get through that, you don't have to worry about that anymore. Big Sean, thank you for following me. Volume. I don't know that I can turn the volume up. Oh, here's what I'm doing. Okay, maybe that will be a little bit better. It looked like I had my phone on the volume thing, but hopefully you can hear me. If not, turn your own volume up. How did I stop? I had a series of events. I ended up losing my job, even though I owned 1/3 of the company. I had an intervention the following day from my family and friends where I reached some conclusions I needed to. I went to rehab. I went to therapy. I got a coach. I actually got 2 coaches. I did a hell of a lot of research. Ultimately, I stopped because I decided I was going to stop and I was going to do whatever it took to stop. I was not going to just decide I'm going to stop my way. Because if I could stop my way, I would have. I was an addict. You don't stop. So I put down my ego. I put down my bravado. I put down my, I'm a tough guy, bullshit ego. And I listened to other people. I followed the advice of other people. I told myself I didn't have the answers. I told myself I had to be open-minded enough to try new things that other people suggested, even if I thought they were stupid. You know how stupid it sounded to me to go back to your inner child and give that kid a hug? That sounds stupid to me. But you know what? It actually did some help. So you've got to be able to put your stereotypes, your beliefs, your whatever aside and work with people who know what they're doing. Big Sean, I have a problem with cheating in the past. I'm in a great new relationship and don't want to betray. It's your choice, Sean. It's your choice. How do you keep yourself faithful? You don't put your penis into other people. You only touch one set of boobs, hers. You don't look at pornography. If you can't be faithful, let her go now. Because that's shitty to get into a relationship and be like, oh, well, I still want to fool around. No, you don't get to. That's immoral. It has nothing to do with porn. It has nothing to do with, the other person. It has nothing to do with anybody forcing you. The question is, why do you feel like you need somebody else? What is the reason behind that? What are you afraid of if you settle on one person? What does it mean if you can't go hunting for other people? These are the more important questions. Why are you unfaithful? Not how do you not be unfaithful, but why are you? If you can figure that out, you will figure out how not to betray. And I can help you with that one-on-one. If anybody out there needs some one-on-one help, visit the front page of the profile, click on the link tree, it's the top one. Pretty difficult trying to cleanse my Instagram algorithm. Those reels are the worst. You know what's funny, Jake? I was having a conversation with one of my clients yesterday, and he was saying the same thing. Don't watch them. Skip by them quickly. Don't follow anybody who does those reels. Don't like any of those reels. I don't remember Instagram because I haven't been on it for about a year and a half. There also must be a way to click not interested. But keep in mind, the time you spend even just looking at it, Instagram knows. So spend as little time with that stuff as possible, and don't like it, and don't, follow the people, and it should clear up over time. Or you could start a new Instagram. Find all your friends, tell them, here's my new Instagram, follow me there, and then you're starting fresh. Hi, Kyra. What do you think is the biggest reason of the addiction? Off answers it right there. Trauma. We become addicts, and not just porn addicts, any kind of addict. We become an addict because we can't deal with life's problems and life's issues on life's terms. At some point when you were young, you faced some major problem. And you happened to discover pornography around the same time, or a little earlier, and you recognized, hey, when I use this stuff, it makes me feel better. So you start to use the stuff to feel better. Well, what does that mean? It means that you don't develop the proper problem-solving skills. You don't develop the proper trauma or stress management skills or anxiety management skills. Why should you develop those? You've already got your porn. But the problem is, if you don't develop those when you're 11, 12, 13, and you just keep watching porn, you're not going to develop them because you've already got your way to deal with the problem. But as years go by, you recognize, gee, the porn itself is causing shame. The porn itself is causing stress. The porn itself is causing anxiety. I can't use porn to just, get rid of my porn problem. So you have to go back and you have to do the bigger thing, which is recognize why the trauma is there. Recognize, why did you start using porn? How have you used porn during your life? How has it made a difference in your life? How has your lack of problem-solving skills and your dependence on porn affected your life up to today? How did you become the person sitting on the other side of this phone or the other side of this computer today? These are the important questions. These are the questions that truly are recovery. Yes, quitting is important. Quitting is huge. But just quitting the behavior doesn't fix the mental health side of things. That's what I do as a coach. Why did you get this way? No judgment, no shame, no embarrassment. You're not a pervert. You're not a weirdo. You got caught up in something when you were young and didn't recognize what was happening to you. But now that you know, you have a responsibility to yourself to fix it. Danny, 24862, thank you for following me. Faith can help, Kyra, absolutely. Big Sean says, I see. I hope that answered you. Herjin Gill, or Herhind Gill, however you pronounce that, or Heel. Sounds kind of, what is that called? Not Norwegian, not Yugoslavian. Sounds Scandinavian. I appreciate the advice. Those are questions I've never asked myself. Thank you. That's okay, Big Sean. Like I said, I'm here to ask those questions. I'm here to help people. If you don't know how to fix a car, are you just going to stand in front of it and be like, I can do this myself? No, you're going to take it to someone who knows how to fix it. If you don't know how to fix your porn problem, you don't know how to fix your porn problem. So you need to take it to someone who can help. It's kind of the same thing. I did go through the troubles, but I never realized it that way. Well, that's why we talk about this stuff here. So we can look at different ways. So people can share different ways. Dopamine hit. That is the number one reason people use, Claire. They want the dopamine. My lovely wife went to Starbucks for me this morning. Car Talk IRL, thank you for following me. I appreciate that. Betrayal trauma is real. Yes, it is, SB Maxi. Absolutely, it's real. Probably about 40% of my clients are dealing with betrayal trauma. 95% of them are women. Because you hook up with a guy, you date a guy, you marry a guy, you may even have a conversation that pornography is not something we will have in this relationship. And then you find out he was using. And it's not just that he was using. 100% of my clients who talk to me because of the betrayal trauma say that it's the lying. It's that they were lying. It's one thing that they used porn, but it's another thing that they lied. How can you know? How can you know that he wasn't lying to you a lot before? How can you know he won't be lying to you moving forward? In all truth, you can't. It's going to involve some rebuilding. Now, even if you say, take a flying leap, goodbye, you're still going to carry that trauma with you. And here's the thing that I've learned, Maxie, is that in dealing with so many people, like I said, 95% women when it comes to betrayal trauma, is that it's not the first trauma. It just sparks the trauma that's already there. It kind of stokes that fire and just makes things worse. That's why I urge betrayal trauma sufferers, betrayal trauma victims to come talk to me. Because odds are we need to talk about some earlier trauma too. That's what I've learned almost every case. We've got to talk about the earlier trauma. Because you were lulled into a belief you were not going to be traumatized again. And then the one person who you assumed would never traumatize you goes ahead and does it. How do you cope? What if you had parents who betrayed you? What if you had other boyfriends, other partners who betrayed you? What if you had other types of trauma? It can be a lot to handle. Talking about he or your partner is the addict. They're the one that caused the problem. But you owe it to yourself. You have a responsibility to yourself to get better. Oth says it's the traumatized person. Yes, Oth, you. But you're much better than you used to be, honestly. Gina Gotch says, same. Is there any way to trust him again? Yes, but it's going to be a decision. But here's the thing, Gina. Whether you trust him or not, You need to be able to cope with it within yourself. But the thing is, you're going to have to reach a day, and that day may not be today. You're going to have to reach a day where you make the decision if you're going to trust him again. If you're waiting for some kind of bolt of lightning, if you're waiting for some kind of grand idea, it's not going to happen. What you need to do is you're going to have a day, and like I said, it doesn't have to be today. You're going to have a day where you say either, okay, I am going to trust this guy. I'm going to extend an olive branch. I'm going to agree that I will put some faith in him, and I agree to forgive but not forget. I agree to try to build this back. Or you can say, I'm just never going to be able to trust this dude again. I want to, but I can't. I will never be able to trust this person again, and I don't want to be in a relationship with someone who I'll never be able to trust again. If you reach that conclusion, that's fine. Now, if you reach the I'm going to trust, great. If you reach the I'm never going to trust, then you have two choices. You leave, or you decide, I'm just going to be in a marriage or a relationship where I don't trust my partner. And that's kind of miserable. Kira followed me. I appreciate that. Or Kyra, thank you very much. Gina says, I trusted him and then he broke it again. Ugh, I'm sorry. I don't want a divorce. I want him to be better. So what is he doing to get better? What is he doing to get better? What steps is he taking to get better? And what steps are you taking to get better? Like I've said before, if you're riding down the road with him in the car, and let's say it turns out he's drunk. You just discover he's drunk. You tell him to pull the car over because you don't want him driving when he's drunk. He flips the car, he misses a corner, flips the car 3 times, goes down a hill. Some miracle, he climbs out of the wreckage, not a freaking scratch on him. And then you are pinned under the car. The fire trucks have to come and cut you out of it. You have to go straight to the hospital to begin your operations. 3 months in the hospital with operations, then you have to go to physical therapy. Is it your fault that that car crash happened? No, it's his. He was drunk. He lost control. But you are the one suffering. Just because there's no justice to it doesn't mean you don't have the responsibility to get those operations and to learn to walk again. And it's not the responsibility to him, it's the responsibility to you. You got caught up in a bad situation, but you still have the responsibility to fix yourself. Hey, Jet Life baby, how do I go pro, coach? In what aspect? I'm assuming that might be a joke, but it's not a very good joke. I feel like he is getting better, but I'm always going to have that doubt. Well, do you talk to anybody about it? Do you talk to him about it? What's he doing? Is he going to a therapist? Does he have a coach? Does he go to 12-step groups? Does he listen to podcasts? Do you do any of these things? Do you do any of these things together? Are you rebuilding? Because unfortunately, you both have to meet on the bridge to rebuild it because you're both rebuilding your sides. You will meet somewhere in the middle. And again, exactly, none of this is your fault, but it is your responsibility. Never thought about it like that. EB says, felt good, not gonna lie. Felt good, what felt good, EB? Gina Gotch says, none of that. Yeah, well, you can't expect things to get better if you don't work at getting them better. And if you can't figure it out yourself, you need to get help. This is why I became a coach. Because 12 years ago, when I was, when I was recognizing I was starting my problems, 11 years ago, when I started to get them fixed, I had to realize I couldn't do this on my own. I needed help. And if you're not going to get help, you shouldn't expect to heal. Like I said, if your vacuum cleaner breaks and you don't know how to fix your vacuum cleaner, you can't just stand over it and be like, come on, get better. What if I give you some time? It's not going to get better. You have to go to someone who knows how to fix it. And that's the thing with the trauma. That's the thing with the addiction. That's the thing with the marital strife or the relationship strife. If you don't know how to fix it, you are not going to be able to fix it. It's pretty much straight ahead math. Papa G, thank you for sharing the live. I like your little icon there. Is that you as the clown? I kind of like that. Amara0011, glad to see you. My boyfriend told me it was my fault. What an asshole. That he watches. He said loved me, but that I needed to help him. Yeah, Amara, he's in denial. I don't know how old he is. I don't know what his upbringing was. And that it was just his way coping with stress. It is his way of coping with stress. And it's an unhealthy way. It's, I drink to cope with stress. Great, not healthy. There are so many healthy ways to deal with stress. There are so many better ways to deal with stress. There are ways to deal with stress so the stress doesn't even happen. His dad watches it every night. What? Yeah, well, you know what? Some of us have parents who are idiots. You know, you hear a lot. I'm a Democrat because my daddy was a Democrat. I'm a Republican because my daddy was a Republican. I work in this industry because my daddy worked in this industry. Yeah, well, what happens if your father was a Nimrod? You got to be able to recognize that. Otherwise, you're just Nimrod Jr. Well, Amara, I guess what I would say is that if you loved me, you wouldn't watch. I don't want you to watch. If you loved me, you wouldn't watch. Do you love me enough to not watch pornography? Because I don't like it. And as your partner, that should matter. As the person who loves you, that should matter. Would you rather be with me, or would you rather look at pictures on a phone and touch yourself? You can have one and not the other. As far as your fault, he was an addict before he met you. His dad was probably indoctrinating him way too early. It has nothing to do with you, and you know it. And that's what you should also tell him too. Should I think for one goddamn moment that if I leave you, you're going to stop looking at porn? That will prove it's not my fault, because you're going to keep looking. And you're going to keep looking, and you're never going to end up with a woman who has an ounce of self-respect if you tell them it's their fault. If you tell them this is you coping with stress, figure out a better way. Get some kittens, go to the gym, watch a movie. Do something else to de-stress. It's a bullshit excuse. And you shouldn't have to take that, Amara. Sounds like he's an addict because he is rationalizing, he is justifying. What he's telling you is what he thinks he has to tell you, so you will leave him alone and he can keep using. Because that's his plan, is to get you to shut up and let him do his thing. And if you just stand by and let him do that, well, he wins. His technique works. Why would he change? Think about that. All of you who, it seems like we're into a lot of betrayal trauma stuff today, think about that. What incentive does he have to change other than you tell him you love him. If you make boundaries and you don't enforce them, they don't mean anything. I'm going to leave you if you don't stop using. Then you catch them 3 more times and you're still there. Your word means nothing. You need to create boundaries and you need to enforce them. That's the thing you have to do. And, hey, you know what? If you can get him to sit down with you in front of me one time, we can figure out if he's an addict. We can figure out why these are problems. And if he dismisses me as it's all a bunch of bullshit, well, then you know this is a guy who doesn't want to face reality. This is a guy who just wants things the way he wants them, and you are only there to be a servant. Thank you for answering. You're welcome. I've used that same excuse. Yeah, stop it. FUFICU. How can I wuss a guy who has been a new favorite of his friends for years? Now has the most in. Anybody else understand that? How can I wuss a guy who has been a new favorite of his friends for years, now has been the most? I don't know what you're saying. I don't know what you're saying. 100%. Yep, amen. 1,000%. Coach is right. I like this. This is wonderful. I love being told I'm right. I said those things, but he told me I was being too insecure. Of course he told you that. I was an addict, Amara. I know how to talk to people to get them to do what I want. I know how to talk to people to get them to drop things. I know how to talk to them to get them to move on to the next thing. And that's all he wants you to do. That's called gaslighting. That's the very definition of gaslighting, what he did to you there. You said those things and he said, well, you're being insecure. Let me turn this around on you, make you seem like you're the one with the problem. Well, that's bullshit. That is gaslighting, absolute definition of it. And you need to be able to stand up for yourself and say, nope, you're insecure because you can't quit this stuff. Because you've got some kind of trauma, because you've got some kind of past, because you can't face your history, you can't face your feelings, you can't face your shame. So you have to run into the other room and look at naked people who you will never meet and touch your penis. Who sounds like the insecure one? Now we are separate. Good for you, Amara. Good for you. I hope you stay that way. Hey, good to see you, Smoothie Buns. Glad you're here. Period. Thank you for following me. Proud to say I'm 24 days clean. Dude, that's awesome. I'm proud of you to be able to say that. More than 3 weeks. And you've already told people on here you've seen me. And what have we had? Only 2, 3 sessions? Maybe 4? But that's how well you're doing already. And you're not just quitting, you're making some lifestyle changes. 24 days is absolutely awesome, dude. I almost said your real name. That's awesome, dude. I'm so proud of you. That's the best thing I've heard this morning so far. You right. Thank you. Thank you, Amara. Can you talk about corn-induced ED? Yeah, absolutely. How long does it take to reverse? Good question, and that really depends on how serious you are about recovery and just your situation. Number one, there is no debate on this one. You have to stop looking at porn and you have to stop masturbating. That's the only way you're going to turn it around. So that's number one. Number two is really, how long have you been looking? How healthy are you? What's your age? What's your activity level? younger guys, 20, 21, who've only been looking 6, 7 years, who, only use 4 or 5 times a week, who go to the gym, who stick to the no using, no touching philosophy, heal much faster. I have had clients within 2-3 months see a big improvement. And then there are guys who are much older, who've been using for 20, 30 years, who have a sedentary life, who are not healthy, who are overweight. It can take them up to 2 years. So really it depends on who you are, Rixiker, and how devoted you are to it. Wow, she used to tell me that in a very similar way, Coach. Yeah, why didn't you listen? What was it inside of you? And I say this because it might help others. How did you dismiss what she was saying? Hi, Keiko. In a coaching session, do I have to confess every time I jerk off? No. God, no. I will ask you about your usage, your current usage going back a couple months to figure out how things are going now. And we will aim to lower the amount. But no, I don't need to know every time. It's like I don't need to know what kind of porn you look at. I don't care if you're looking at all gay stuff, all orgies, all people of different colors, it doesn't really matter what you're looking at. What matters is what it's doing to your head. What matters is what's going on in your, what matters is what's going on in your brain as far as the begging and needing of chemicals. We will never meet those people. Exactly. And even if you did meet one of these porn stars, I'm going to tell you the truth. They don't fuck that way in real life. Sorry to be blunt about it, but they don't. I just had another porn star follow me yesterday, and we had a short little conversation in the DMs. And she loves what I'm doing on here. And, you'll never meet those people. They probably wouldn't give you the time of day. And here's the thing that I always have, told to me by porn stars. It's not real. That 7-minute clip you're watching probably took 4 hours to make. It's not real. It's just not real. I did it yesterday. Okay, Suleiman, try not to do it today. 3 hours. I'm just at school. Okay, Trey. I hope you are getting good grades and have a good day. I'm only going to be here about 15 more minutes tops because I have a session at the top of the hour. I'm going to schedule another one-on-one to discuss some other life changes I'm preparing for. Please do. My schedule the next 3 days is wide open. I haven't seen it this wide open since like October. So I've got some other stuff to do, but I'll always stop to help somebody. I'm a little bit behind in trying to get some get work done on the 2 books I'm doing. That was my plan this afternoon. So yeah, absolutely. Book with me as soon as you can. Love to talk to you. Zen Complex. I'm a 5-day type of guy. I'm cooked. What does it mean to be a 5-day type of guy? Yonghua Wan, thank you for following me very much. I appreciate it. Glad you're part of the community now. He said he was thinking about me during it. Lie, right? Who cares? If he's thinking about you, he's thinking about screwing you. If he's thinking about screwing you, he's just reducing you to the same as all the other porn. It's still porn. If in your mind, or whether you made it for him, if he is masturbating to images you made, it's still porn. It doesn't matter if you know the person in the porn. I mean, look at OnlyFans. OnlyFans would probably lose a third of their customers if they didn't have the "a girl I knew from high school" angle. Even if you make a porn video with him, it's not porn because he's in it? Of course it's still porn. If he uses the material the way he uses traditional pornography, if he thinks about you when he's using, just like it's traditional pornography, it's the same damn thing. So it doesn't matter whether he's thinking of you or not. He's reducing you to an object, either way. I would guess it's a lie, because he's got you right there if he really wants you. Again, he's trying to tell you things, hoping you'll believe it and walk away and stop bothering him and let him live his life. It really destroys the mind on a major level. Absolutely, AJ. I mean, AJ brings up a great point that I haven't mentioned yet during this one, is that pornography addiction is a disease. It's a disease because it changes the mind's chemistry. And I'm not going to get into all of the neuroplasticity at this point because I've only got a few more minutes. But addiction is a disease because addiction changes the brain's chemistry. And that means porn addiction is a disease. It does destroy the mind. AJ's right. If you, when I'm done here in a minute, I would urge you to go Google the brain of a porn addict versus the brain of a healthy person, or the brain of other addicts. And you're going to see that the brain of a porn addict looks like the brain of a coke addict. That's how strong it is. That's how much dopamine and serotonin and the other chemicals you get. It's like that. It's like trying to quit coke. But you can do it. You can do it. I'm going to try to get to all these comments before I quit and move on. Well, you can do it that way. If join the industry, then you will get to do it that way and play in videos. So that's the solution. That's the solution if you want to have sex like that, is to just join the industry. Yeah, no, that's not the way it works, dude. Because they're not even doing it that way. I just explained this. I guarantee I have spoke with many, many more porn stars than you have. I know how it works on a porn set. The way it looks like they're doing it, they're probably not. You think a guy can hold a girl upside down and be bouncing around while she's doing things on him, while he's doing things on her, for more than 30 seconds at a time? They can't. Anytime you see a cut in pornography, anytime you see a move from one camera to another, assume that everything stopped. They have sex in 30-second and 1-minute bunches. It's not real. It's not real. It's about as real as Star Wars is to our space program. Hey, Coach, hit the 3-week mark. All right, Gizmo. That's freaking awesome. That's freaking awesome. 21 days. That's a big deal because most doctors, scientists, people in this area, from the research I've read, from the people I've talked to, will say 21 days is the point that your neuroplasticity starts to kick in and your brain starts to heal. Or I should not say heal, I should say evolve and move away from the addicted brain. We haven't had it in, you're talking about the love making. Chess 2020, thank you for following me. Jesse, thank you for following me. I appreciate that. If any of you need one-on-one help from me, there are several people in this chat right now who are in better places because they invested in help with me. You can be one of those people. Go to the front page of my profile. Look at my link tree. Top one is book a session with me. Our Mighty Gizmo says, I don't keep count. I had to ask ChatGPT to remember the date. I don't have corn on my mind anymore. Well, and just keep in mind that your body, if you face some kind of momentary trauma, some kind of PTSD, some kind of bad news, triggers may still happen. Triggers may still happen. You have stopped. But are you doing the stuff we've always talked about the trauma, about figuring out why you became an addict? Because until you do that, you're still going to have that piece of your mental being that's carrying around that trauma that may at some point try to trigger you again. So be careful of the pink cloud syndrome. That is where somebody has been successful for a while and it starts to feel easier. And it's great, but when you start to tell yourself, I got this, that's when you're not keeping your guard up, and that's when you relapse. So be careful, Gizmo. It's awesome what you're doing. You are off to a hell of a start. I remember, months and months ago when you couldn't put 3 days together. So that is awesome. Now it's time to take this to the next level and figure out why. Talk about destroying the brain. My dopamine receptors are fried. I'm slowly healing. Absolutely, and that's why we have to watch weirder and weirder porn and more hardcore porn. Because what once did it for us doesn't do it anymore. So we have to go searching for the stuff that's going to do it for us. That's why so many people, when they're using, they'll stop in the middle. If they find a great thing and they'll just move that browser tab aside. That's what I'm going to finish with. Or they decide that they're done. They want to finish now. They're done, and they start looking for that final piece. That is a very good sign that your dopamine receptors have absolutely been fried when you have to search for a piece that you know will get the job done, because most of what you're looking at won't. Lucas Machado, thank you for following me. But I literally see them in the video doing it all east for a small amount of time. I would love it. I'm going to guess you are probably 14 years old if you're not listening to me. Or you just really want to live in a fantasy world and people who know better, who know the truth, won't convince you. And that's where you learn things the hard way. Oth, thank you for getting rid of these assholes today who deserve to be muted. Appreciate it. We have been together 4 years. I should let go and move on, right? Absolutely. Absolutely. Tell me something that helps me move on from him. He's not going to be different in 4 more years. He's not going to be different in 4 years after that. But you're going to be 8 years older. You can still meet somebody who treats you the way you should be treated. And you probably need a little time alone to heal. But this guy has basically told you he's not changing. He's not going to change. He has no interest in changing. And I don't know how old you are, Amara. This is something that I have to explain to a lot of younger ladies, 18, 20, 23, who really have only experienced one love in their life. There's plenty of love out there. You'll find somebody else. You absolutely will. You'll find somebody better. I don't have to usually say that to the 45-year-old women because they know. They've seen, they've experienced there's more than one person out there for you. They've experienced that you can keep looking until you find the right person. A lot of younger people don't recognize that, especially ones who didn't have a stable home or didn't have a father who did a decent job. That man may have loved you in the beginning, Amara, but that man doesn't love you now. He's proven that again and again and again. 4 years, big fucking deal. What if you live 80 years? 4 years is just 5% of that. You learned a lot. You learned what you don't want. You learned what you need. You probably should let go and move on, especially based on what you're saying here. Tell you something that helps you move on? You need to be able to tell yourself that, Amara. You need to be able to tell yourself that. I can't make you stay. I can't make you leave. I don't know what it's going to take. I don't know what I have to say to ring that bell. But it sounds like you already know. It sounds like you already know. Go to the front page of his profile. It changed my life, people. Thank you, Smoothie Buns. Smoothie Buns is one of my clients, and I can tell you how well he's doing. He takes this seriously. We don't meet 3 times a week. It's nothing that intense. We meet about once a month lately. But he's getting so much better because he's taking it seriously, because he wants it. And whether you're a porn addict or you've got betrayal trauma or you're in a relationship that you're trying to fix, which I help people with all 3 of those things, you've got to want it. I'm not going to come along and give you the 2 sentences that fix everything, because they don't exist. I can't give you the silver bullet. I can't give you, okay, well, do these 3 things in this order and you'll be fine. No coach, no therapist, no doctor can do that. This is something where you either say, I am going to quit, I'm going to do this on my own, and I'm going to fix the other issues behind it, or I'm not going to do it. And that's the same for both porn and betrayal trauma. But thank you for the testimonial, Mr. Smoothie Buns. I'm going to screen capture that. Why is that not letting me? Okay, there we go. There we go. Pints Drinking, thank you for sharing this. Always helps the numbers here. Very appreciated. What's the assignment, Lester? I don't know. What's the frequency, Kenneth? Are you still thinking of... Are you still thinking about doing the 15 to 30-minute check-ins? Yes, I am. I just have to... I have a list of shit I have to do, and getting to it is always secondary to doing a live or to doing a session. And I tell you, on the days where I have 5 sessions and I do a 90-minute live, at the end of the day, I really don't feel like working on other things. But that is absolutely very high up on the list of priorities. I've been trying to figure out my traumas. I think it's something to do with my parents' divorce. Probably. That will mess you up as a kid. How old were you when your parents got divorced, Gizmo? 21, says Amara. There you go. So you've been with this guy since you've been 17. You literally went from childhood to adulthood with this guy. You're a grown-up now. You recognize you picked wrong. That's the thing. A lot of people out there, and it's okay, a lot of people out there, because of their trauma, because of their circumstances, because of whatever, they have a bad picker when it comes to a mate. And the way that he manipulates you, Amara, the way that he wraps you around his finger, tells you what he thinks you need to believe, he's probably been doing this since the beginning. He's probably been doing this since the beginning, and he's just tired of putting in the effort. He probably was lying to you from day one. I have a tough time being vulnerable and intimate with women, not as much with men. Well, it's because, you're probably not sexually intimate with men. And you probably want to be far more vulnerable with a woman than a man. And you probably have a tougher time sharing certain things with women because, men have been through things together. It's funny because some of my betrayal trauma clients who are women, they've tried to talk to women about this, and coming to a man who was an addict in the past, that's the only way this is working. Oth, can you pin the time for me? I have a session at the top of the hour and I don't want to miss it, obviously. But yeah, absolutely, you probably have some issues with women. 12:50, okay, thank you, dear. I'm going to have to get going here super soon. I appreciate the work you do. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Gizmo. Thank you so much. I know, but it's just so hard. Absolutely, Amara. And all the good things in life are hard. 11 years ago, I quit porn and alcohol at the same time. That wasn't easy. Then I had to come home and live a clean life. That was even harder. And then I had to continue in recovery, learning about how I became the person I was. That wasn't easy. But here I am today helping other people because I know it's possible. You can do this. But of course it's difficult. Of course it's difficult. But you can do this. I promise you. And again, thank you. Remember all the bad. It helps a lot. Absolutely, Amy. And take a look around at how many other fish there are in the sea. You may have to be without a fish for a little while, but that may also be the best thing for you. Because here's the other thing. Are you healthy? Are you the kind of partner that a decent guy wants? Or are you a complete mess and he's a complete mess? That doesn't equal out. It just makes a bigger mess. But do you have to improve it all before you go and look for people? Many of my betrayal trauma clients and many of my porn addict clients are avoiding relationships right now because they want to heal at first. Excuse me. I've been up for 2 hours and I've unloaded 4 times. And that's why Teddy Roosevelt was a Rough Rider. That's not healthy. That's not good. I hope you're trolling. If not, get yourself some help immediately. Mir, just ask the question. Don't tell me you have one. Thank you for sharing again, pints drinking. Thank you for doing that. I'm going to book a session once I get the money. Excellent, Gizmo. Excellent. Hope you had a great birthday. Thank you, Teresa. I did. The restaurant was a little disappointing, but got to be with my daughter and her boyfriend, got to be with my parents, got to be with my wife. And in the dead of winter on a Saturday night, I can think of a lot of worse things than that. Yes, your insight is so helpful because that's the biggest question is, what is he thinking? Yeah. I don't want to look for others because then the healing going to be much harder. Well, and you might repeat the same mistakes. Take some time. Do you love yourself, Amara? And I say this to both my porn addicts and my betrayal trauma clients. Do you love yourself? Because if you don't, it's pretty damn hard to love you. Where did you go to eat? I went to a little tiny independent restaurant. I went to a restaurant. I went to a restaurant that's at a vineyard here in Maine. It was pretty damn good. My mom has addiction. Can that be the reason why I have an addiction to those videos? It can be part of it, both DNA-wise and if you witnessed somebody leaning on a substance or a behavior to deal with their problems. Absolutely. It can contribute. It can certainly contribute to it, yeah. I was 4 to 5. I don't remember my childhood at all. Repressed memories, I think. Yeah. Well, you know what's funny is that until I got into recovery, I couldn't remember shit before 6th grade. Like, even when I was in high school, I couldn't remember anything before 6th grade. Once I got into recovery, it became clear why I didn't want to remember that stuff. It became clear why I tried to block it. I like to put that question off until I've recollected myself over celibacy. Good plan. Thank you for the help. You're welcome, Amara. Is addiction genetically passed down? You know, there is some proof that it is, and there are some beliefs that it isn't. I believe it can be absolutely be part of it, but I believe the environment, and this is where science is moving more, I believe that the environment has more to do with it than the DNA. If you're watching people who don't have good coping skills, you're probably, and you're growing up around them, you're probably not going to have them yourself. All right, I've got to get going. I wish I didn't have to. I love talking to you folks, but I have to do a live now. So I want to thank you all for being here. If you need the one-on-one help that you probably know you need, visit the front page of my profile, click on the link tree, and you can book with me. Also, go to that front page, click on the link tree, and you'll see all my links. And I say this because there's YouTube on there. And if you like these lives, I've got about 25 of them on there right now, old lives that I've been doing since late last year. I pick the better ones and I repost them. So if you're struggling at some point, if you need help at some point, if these things actually help you, and you're feeling weak late at night, put one on and listen to it. When will I be back? You know what? I'll probably back tonight, Teresa. I haven't done one of these past 7 p.m. I don't know, going back to last Thursday or Friday. So it's been about a week. So I'll probably be here at night. Probably between 7 and 9 my time. Probably between 8 and 10 my time. You follow me. You'll know. And you know, Teresa, if you need anything, just drop me a note in the DMs if there's anything specific. All right, kids, great seeing you. We will talk probably later this evening. Goodbye. Good luck. Avito.